Well, I grew up in Ohio, in the small town of Columbus Grove, Ohio, which is up by Lima, and went to Bowling Green State University and got a bachelor's in music education. Then went off to teach and realized that teaching wasn't my passion, and I always felt called to ministry. So I left teaching and went into seminary. Went to seminary in Chicago and graduated with a Master's of Divinity degree and served churches in the United Methodist Church. Grew up in the UCC church, but served in the Methodist Church for 8 years, and then I took a leave of absence and decided that really was my calling, is to be a minister. So when I came back in, I had the option of coming back to the UCC church, and so I did, and I've served the UCC church for about 15 years now. I've been married for 32 years. My wife, Amy, and I, we met at Bowling Green State University. We're Falcon Flames, they call us. We have 3 children, two grown out of the house. Our daughter is 30. She owns her own home in Akron, Ohio. She's a CPA. Our son is an athletic director for a company in Akron and does coaching. And our youngest daughter is a senior in high school, and she'll graduate this year, and we're looking at colleges for her. We've lived in Wadsworth for the last 16 years. Well, the job of the interim pastor is to come in and help folks to discover who they are. There's some grieving when a pastor leaves, and there's that space, that time to breathe and try to discern what God is calling this church to be in its next phase of ministry. It's going to be different. There's going to be change because the next pastor is not going to be the same person. It just doesn't happen. So the interim gets the congregation ready by helping them grieve and deal with the loss of one pastor, and then decide what God is calling them to do and to be, and then try to staff to that kind of direction to sort of figure out who could be the person that's going to lead us in the direction we feel God is calling us. Well, getting to know folk, getting to know the history of what has happened here at Westerville, getting a sense of what ministries are important to them. In a church this size, there's a lot more ministry opportunities because folks have their passion. They can gather some people around them for their passions. So trying to get to know what those passions are and those ministries are. And, maybe that's something that was good 5-10 years ago, but it's been dwindling. Is that still important? Is there something new we can do? So just trying to take a holistic look at the church and getting to know the folks and being the person with the eyes from outside that can go, well, why do you do that? Because a lot of times ministries have happened, they've just happened for years and years and years, and they don't think about why they do them anymore. They just, because we've always done them. So, but getting to really sort of think through, and is that still the priority of this church to do that particular thing? Maybe it is. I'm not trying to come here to axe any one ministry, but to help us think through what's important in this time and as we go forward. Well, I see a diversity of age, which is always a good thing to have some young folks. I was surprised we had some young kids here. We had some 20-year-olds. We had folks who've been here. I've met a couple couples who were charter members and have been here since day one. So I'm really excited about that. And I got a really wonderful, warm welcome from the folks. And several folks that came out and said they were just excited by this idea. One person who came out and said, I'm against this, but he said, it's probably why we need to do the interim process, because I'm against it. So it's full circle. So, it was just nice to hear folks thinking, this is going to be an exciting time. And I was really gratified to understand, to reflect on that with folks and to see them sort of embrace that. And we'll see how long that lasts, but, it's all part of a process. Well, the church is called into being to worship the living God. And out of that worship and admiration for the Creator God who gifts us with life and well-being, and through the witness of Christ to extend that. And I love sharing the ever-widening circle of Christ's love, that idea that, excuse me, that we have this. I like to tell a story like this. Excuse me. A guy's walking by a hotel and he sees a big sign out in front of the hotel that says big convention in the ballroom. And he looks up on the second floor, he sees flames coming out of the window, he sees smoke coming out of the window. He runs in to tell the folks that because he's got information that they need to know. He's got stuff, he's got knowledge of something they needed to know because he's seen it. And I think that sometimes what the church is like, we've got this knowledge, we've got this experience with Christ, and we've got this experience, the spiritual experience that means something deeply to us. It forms and shapes us as to who we are. And we need to tell other folks. And you know, I was a missions representative for the seminary I attended. And what I would go out and do, and I would say this at every church that I've served as a pastor, I would go out to the seminary as a recruiter and talk to folks about coming to the seminary. And I would always start out by saying, Garrett may not be the place for you. It's the place for me, and here's why. Here's what I like about it, and here's what I get out of it. You know, Westerville Church may not be for you. Here's why it's for me. Again, that's that message that we have, and then sharing and growing that ever-widening circle. So it's about the experience we have here as a community of faith, and then it informs our lives to go out and share that with others, whether that's through service, whether that's just having a cup of coffee with a friend when they're down, and not even maybe speaking a word of religion, but you're that presence to them, to know that you care and you show that compassion and that empathy for somebody. That's what Christ calls us to do, to serve others.